Hi everyone, thank you for joining our election stress workshop. My name is Dr. Sonali Silva. I am a staff psychologist at UNLV Counseling and Psychological Services. And Chad, if you can introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chad Davis. I am a doctoral intern at the Counseling Center here at UNLV.
Yes, so Chad has been with us since August, and we're so happy to have him work with us this year. So, for those of you who are joining us today, this will be a 45 minutes to an hour long workshop. And this workshop is on election stress. And this workshop was organized and supported by the UNLV CAPS Diversity Committee. So as you all know, today is election day, and we're all waiting for the results. And I know a lot of people are feeling stressed and anxious. And I can't believe November is already here, right, Chad? This year went by so fast.
Yeah, what a year we've all had. It's been very, very interesting year, right?
Yes, yes, we've been so stressed with the pandemic, with the election. Everything is just very stressful. So I know, with the anticipation for the results and the outcome of the election, I know we're all feeling stressed and it's affecting many of our lives. So in response to this high level of stress related to the elections, we as a team at CAPS, we decided it is good to organize this workshop for the UNLV campus community to discuss ways to cope with election related stress. So before I start talking a little bit about the workshop and sharing these information, I wanted to have a little disclaimer. Just please note that this workshop is by no means supporting any political candidate, but simply providing resources on how you could take care of your mental health during these stressful election season. Okay, so Chad, are you ready for the workshop?
Ready. I'm ready.
So let me share my screen so we can start. You can see our wonderful PowerPoint that we've created for the workshop. Um, and I am going to, there you go. Okay. So, so this will be our agenda for today. First we'll talk a little bit about just stress in general, how stress affects us physiologically and also psychologically. Then we'll talk about stress specifically related to the elections, factors contributing to the stress during this election. And then Chad will talk a little bit about steps for healing, and we'll talk about CAPS services. And finally, we'll end the presentation with a meditation exercise. I think meditation is important for all of us right now. So we'll end the workshop with a meditation exercise. Okay. So usually, as you all probably know, mental health professionals, we love to talk about stress, right? I don't think it's only mental health professionals. I think also just people in general like to talk about stress, because usually stress affects us all, right? You may notice symptoms of stress when you're disciplining your kid, maybe during busy times at work, when you're managing your finances, or even coping with a challenging relationship. So even now, when I'm doing this workshop with you guys, I'm feeling a little stressed, right? So stress is everywhere. And while a little stress is okay, Too much stress can wear you down and make you feel sick, both mentally and physically. So this is why we love to talk about stress and how we can cope with stress. So the first step to controlling stress or to cope with stress is to know the symptoms of stress. Typically, when I discuss with my clients in counseling sessions about the effects of stress on our mind and our body, I like to use visuals. I'm a visual learner. But of course, in this virtual world, things have become a little different. And instead of using visual props, I am now using videos to show students how stress affects their body. So I found this really cool video. It's a TED Ed video. It really summarizes the effects of stress on our body. So let's take a few minutes to watch this and understand how stress can have a toll on our body and our mind.
Also, cramming for a test, trying to get more done than you have time to do. Stress is a feeling we all experience when we are challenged or overwhelmed. But more than just an emotion, stress is a hardwired physical response that travels throughout your entire body. In the short term, stress can be advantageous, but when activated too often or too long, your primitive fight or flight stress response not only changes your brain, but also damages many of the other organs and cells throughout your body. Your adrenal gland releases the stress hormones cortisol, epinephrine, also known as adrenaline, and norepinephrine. As these hormones travel through your bloodstream, they easily reach your blood vessels and heart. Adrenaline causes your heart to beat faster and raises your blood pressure, over time causing hypertension. Cortisol can also cause the endothelium, or inner lining of blood vessels, to not function normally. Scientists now know that this is an early step in triggering the process of atherosclerosis, or cholesterol plaque buildup in your arteries. Together, these changes increase your chances of a heart attack or stroke. When your brain senses stress, it activates your autonomic nervous system. Through this network of nerve connections, your big brain communicates stress to your enteric or intestinal nervous system. Besides causing butterflies in your stomach, this brain-gut connection can disturb the natural rhythmic contractions that move food through your gut, leading to irritable bowel syndrome, and can increase your gut's sensitivity to acid, making you more likely to feel heartburn. Via the gut's nervous system, stress can also change the composition and function of your gut bacteria, which may affect your digestive and overall health. Speaking of digestion, does chronic stress affect your waistline? Well, yes. Cortisol can increase your appetite. It tells your body to replenish your energy stores with energy-dense foods and carbs, causing you to crave comfort foods. High levels of cortisol can also cause you to put on those extra calories as visceral or deep belly fat. This type of fat doesn't just make it harder to button your pants. It is an organ that actively releases hormones and immune system chemicals called cytokines that can increase your risk of developing chronic diseases such as heart disease and insulin resistance. Meanwhile, stress hormones affect immune cells in a variety of ways. Initially, they help prepare to fight invaders and heal after injury, but chronic stress can dampen the function of some immune cells, make you more susceptible to infections, and slow the rate you heal. Want to live a long life? You may have to curb your chronic stress. That's because it has even been associated with shortened telomeres, the shoelace tip ends of chromosomes that measure a cell's age. Telomeres cap chromosomes to allow DNA to get copied every time a cell divides without damaging the cell's genetic code. And they shorten with each cell division. When telomeres become too short, a cell can no longer divide, and it dies. As if all that weren't enough, chronic stress has even more ways it can sabotage your health, including acne, hair loss, sexual dysfunction, headaches, muscle tension, difficulty concentrating, fatigue, and irritability. So, what does all this mean for you? Your life will always be filled with stressful situations, but what matters to your brain and entire body is how you respond to that stress. If you can view those situations as challenges you can control and master, rather than as threats that are insurmountable, you will perform better in the short run and stay healthy in the long run.
So, just like the video just stated, I think, stress is inevitable and we can't usually, just, I don't think I've ever met anyone who says, oh, I haven't ever felt stress, right? So stress is a part of life. It's inevitable. It's more about how we can control and how we can react to the stress that we are facing. So that's why we are holding this workshop today, to talk about some coping skills and how we can manage the stress related to. Okay, so since we've been talking a lot about election stress, let's move on to talking about what is election stress. So as we all know, voting in an election is one of our fundamental rights to make our voices be heard in the world we live in, right? In an ideal world, we hope that having this opportunity would make us feel positive, empowered, and confident. But that is not always the case. Time after time, mental health research has found that the time around an election increases the level of stress across the nation, regardless of who you will be voting in an election. Research also says that constant media coverage and debates in the home, workplace, or in social platforms, along with concerns about how the result of the election will affect our lives and society, and consequently have a negative impact on our well-being, our overall well-being. So the term election stress was first publicly talked about by a Washington, D.C. based psychologist named Stephen Stosny. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. And he used this term to describe about a unique experience he was having in his clinic right after the 2016 election. He said that he was overwhelmed with many distress phone calls during the 2016 election cycle. And he said he noticed many of his patients calling him and saying that they were experiencing a lot of stress and resentment that intruded into many of their intimate relationships and friendships. Okay, so before the 2016 election, the American Psychological Association, also known as the APA, did a survey and they found out that 52% of American adults reported that the election was a very or somewhat significant source of stress. And the impact was statistically equal among registered Democrats and Republicans for both men and for women. In 2016, 56% of millennials, 45% of Gen X, and 50% of baby boomers reported election being a significant source of stress too. So in a recent study that was done by APA in 2020, they found, surprisingly, they found out that 68% of US adults reported that presidential election is a significant source of stress in their life. And you know how you can see how things have increased from the 2016 election to 2020 election. There's over 10% increase of stress people have reported. This recent survey done by APA also found that regardless of political affiliation, majorities say that the election is a significant source of stress. So as you can see on the slide, 76% of Democrats say that they're stressed, 67% of Republicans say that they're stressed, and then 64% of independents also say that they're stressed. So you can see everyone is feeling this regardless of political affiliation. APA suggested, like other forms of stress and anxiety, election stress has the potential to impact our physical and mental health, and also our relationship with those around us by making us more reactive and irritable or withdrawn, right? Another thing that APA talked about was this election season, specifically the 2020 election season. They said that these factors, there are some factors that's heightening the level of stress in 2020. And one of the things that they talked about was there's increased reports of disconnect with both candidates by many people. They also say that, you know, we all know about the Black Lives Matter movement, and there was a heightened racial conflict within the nation. So that also heightened the stress levels this year, and also our global pandemic. So we're facing, on top of the election stress that we're feeling, there's also other stressors in our lives these days that we're experiencing. So APA said that because of that, probably things have heightened for a lot of people. The stress level have heightened for a lot of people. So as you all know, CAPS is a department that is under the UNLV Wellness Unit, right? In the Wellness Unit, we believe wellness is a continual process towards optimal functioning through a balance among all aspects of an individual, right? And we strive to adopt a holistic approach to wellness. So meaning when we think of healing strategies, we will often talk about all these different domains in one's lives. So if a client comes to me for counseling, I'm not going to just talk to them about emotional aspect. I will also talk to them about some coping strategies that they can use to increase their functioning in other areas of their lives, like their social life, their occupational life, spiritual life, all those things. So we look at wellness in a more holistic manner. So in the next few slides, when Chad is talking about different healing strategies or coping strategies, just think for a moment, pause for a moment, think about how you could increase some of the functioning levels in these different domains. So Chad is going to talk a little bit about like social functioning, also your emotional functioning, physical functioning. So think about how you could increase or how you could bring balance into your life while he's talking about these coping strategies. So Chad, I'm going to let you talk. And take it from here.
All right, well, thank you, everyone. If you were to encounter services here at the Counseling Center, this is kind of a preview of one thing that you could possibly work on. So in psychological science, we have found certain interventions that have been effective for many different domains. As Dr. Silver was saying, you have the social domain, physical domain, emotional domain. We have a lot of tried and true supported methods that work, that have shown to be effective for many of these domains. This particular intervention that I'm going to demonstrate, and that targeting the social domain. And so the reason why we picked this one was because, a lot of our social interactions are influenced by the election season. So you might have friends or family members who come from maybe different sides of the aisle. You have different political opinions, or maybe you're in the same political party, but you differ on certain issues. And so what we want to do is we want to kind of present this skill that will help you to more optimally navigate your social situations, especially now that we're approaching Thanksgiving. I mean, Thanksgiving's in 3 weeks from now, right? So most likely a lot of you are going to be at Thanksgiving dinner tables with people that may not share the same view as you. And so what we want to avoid possibly is interpersonal explosivity and interpersonal fighting, because we know that interpersonal fighting, interpersonal explosivity leads to stress, which we don't want more of. We're getting a lot of stress right now with the pandemic, with the election. There's so much stress that's affecting our lives right now. What we want to do is we want to minimize extra stress. So this skill is we hope that it will mitigate some of those stressors interpersonally. And so this is called the give skill. Again, this is meant to improve interpersonal relationships and maintain those interpersonal relationships. So the acronym GIVE stands for gentle, interested, validate, and easy manner. So the first one, gentle. So we want to make sure that we stay grounded, stay gentle. We don't want to resort to verbal or physical attacks. We don't want to put each other down. Avoid sarcasm. If you start a conversation with this, or end up losing the gentility, we're often more prone to becoming aggressive, to the other person not hearing what we're meant to. If we're trying to get a point across, let's say it's a political opinion that we want to drive home, if we lose our gentility, most likely the person won't hear us, right? The second one, interested. Make sure that the person can see that you're interested in they want to know that you're interested in what they're saying. So maintain eye contact. Make sure that you lean in when you talk, right? That they're aware that, wow, he's really or she's really paying attention to what I'm saying. Don't use your phone. So don't check their like facts while they're talking. Oh, really? That's what you think? And then let me fact check you right now. And then you're on your phone distracted. They're not going to feel like you're listening to them at that point. Validate. So use validating language. This is helping them realize that you really heard what they had to say, that you understood it, that you cared about their point of view. So validating, show that you understand a person's situation, empathize with them. Validation can be shown through your body language, through your words, and we're going to give you a few examples of how you can use validating language in your everyday life. And then last one, easy manner. Make sure that you're calm, comfortable. Use humor, smile. And that's something that you can continue to check in with yourself throughout the conversation. Am I maintaining the easy manner? Am I smiling? Am I using humor? We have enough sadness and stress right now. Using humor might be a good thing to interject, even in a very heightened conversation. Okay, so Dr. Silva and we came up with a role play that we're going to demonstrate to you. And so what we did, we wrote a little script. It's very award-winning and Oscar-worthy. We're expecting to get some Oscar nominations this year for the script that we concocted for this exercise. And we are so what we're going to do is that the scene is we're playing two professors. I know it's a stretch. We're playing two UNLV professors, and we're sitting in the UNLV Commons, and what we're doing is that we're discussing last night's debate. So let's pretend that this was a debate from 2 weeks ago, and we're discussing the outcome of debate. So I kind of made up these fake candidates, candidate Johnson and candidate Williams. So we'll be referring to these candidates in our role play. And so what we're going to do, we're going to demonstrate two role plays. The first role play is how not to approach the situation. So this is not using that give skill that we demonstrated. The first one, and then the second role play we'll redo the kind of scene with the skills applied. Okay, so here we go. So again, we're two professors, Dr. Silva and Davis. We're eating in the UNLV Commons, and we just saw the debate last night. Okay, so here we go. And scene. All right. So Dr. Silva, did you catch the debate last night?
Yes, I thought candidate Johnson really held her own last night.
Candidate Johnson, are you blind? I thought candidate Williams wiped the floor with her.
So I'm blind now? Only someone stupid would vote for candidate Williams. You should really consider giving your PhD back.
Candidate Williams is going to be tough on crime, while candidate Johnson wants to take money away from the police department. I mean, all you people who support candidate Johnson live in a fairy tale. Do you really want to live in a world where your children aren't safe? Hello, I'm talking to you. Are you even paying attention to me? What are you doing? Are you checking your phone right now? I asked you a question, Professor. You're always you don't pay attention. You're so typical of a Johnson supporter, always checking your phone. Do you check your phone when you lecture? Is that really the example you want to set for your students?
You know what, Davis? I'm done sitting here. I hope I don't run into you anytime soon.
All right, and scene. All right.
Okay.
All right, so thank you for joining us again. I'm sorry, we're doing a part 2, so we have the video now in 2 parts. So as we just went over, we just demonstrated this role play of how not to act, with our loved ones, our coworkers, our friends, because as you saw in that first role play, the 2 professors, they resorted to personal attacks. They weren't listening to each other. They weren't paying attention to each other. They were distracted. They didn't maintain that gentle, easy manner. They didn't validate each other's feelings. So, and now, because of that, they may have a poor relationship at work. So these are people that used to work together well, and now they may not be able to. So we want to make sure that our interpersonal interactions don't have these long-lasting negative effects, right? So we're going to demonstrate the same role play again, but using those give skills that we had gone over earlier. Okay, so here we go. All right, so Dr. Silva, so did you catch the debate last night?
Yes, I thought candidate Johnson really held her own last night.
Candidate Johnson, that's interesting. So what was it about her performance that won you over last night?
Well, I really like her platform about healthcare. Medical bills were really high this year. I was supposed to put down a down payment for a house, but unfortunately, I had to wait on that because of my medical bills.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't realize that your medical bills had been such a source of stress for you. I can see why candidate Johnson's healthcare platform could be appealing to you.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. What are some things that you like about candidate Williams?
Well, candidate Williams promised he would be tough on crime, and I fear that candidate Johnson will take away money from the police department. That worries me because my brother is a police officer, and I worry that his safety might be compromised if candidate Johnson gets elected.
Oh, wow. I didn't really realize that your brother was serving. It makes total sense to me now why you would be concerned about the police department's budget. So regardless of who wins, maybe the 2 of us should work together on some of these issues.
I think that's a great idea. Maybe there is some advocacy work we could undertake together to ensure that both healthcare and public servants are better funded in our community. Okay, so that was the second role play. So again, see how they're different. Like in the first one, we resorted to personal attacks. We didn't hear each other. We ignored each other. We didn't maintain that gentility. In this one, even though the 2 professors disagreed on the political viewpoints, they were able to make the effort to try to hear one another and try to understand why the other person wanted to vote for that other candidate. So we tried to use compassionate language, validating language. We tried to understand their point of view. We maintained that easy manner. And so in the end, it sounds like the 2 professors were able to not only maintain their relationship and reduce their overall workplace stress, probably also reduce their overall inner stress. So, they might have both been feeling stressful before the conversation, but now they both felt listened to and heard. So now they're most likely going to go throughout their day, wow, someone listened to me. Someone really understood my point of view, even if that person didn't agree with me, right? So that was the give skill. And I encourage you all to try to see if you can maintain your relationships in this way using some of those things. And again, it's a skill that can work in many different domains. Your your friendship circles, your romantic relationships, your family, your relatives, your colleagues, your boss, your mentors, your professors. All of these kinds of interpersonal techniques can be helpful in maintaining and augmenting those relationships.
Mhm. And also, I think, if we think about the previous cycle that we talked about, so we were really focusing on our social domain, right? But I think, and I'm sure Chad would agree with me, when we're working on our social stuff, we're also looking at our emotional domain as well, because if we have good social relationships, it indirectly or maybe directly affects our emotional wellness as well. So that's how this wellness cycle works. But that was a good skill, Chad, on social domain. Okay.
So this next slide, we just want to give a few there's some buzzwords, some phrases that can help. You know, we call these validating statements. They're part of that give skill. So things like, it sounds as though you're feeling, these are phrases that can help you connect with the other person and make them feel that you heard what they were saying. So in the last role play we did, like, it sounds like you're feeling that that healthcare is important to you. Am I hearing you correctly? Is healthcare? It sounds like that's important. Now, what I'm learning about you is healthcare is important. What I hear you saying is, you're worried about the police department being funded because you have a relative that works there. How can I support you? These are all really nice words and phrases that you can use to throw in there. That really simple things that just make the other people feel understood and feel that you have compassion for them.
Yeah. So I think we'll move on to the next one. Yes.
Okay, so there are we have a slide that's devoted to other healing strategies, things that have been shown to be effective, again, in managing election stress, but also our greater stress overall. So if I just go through each little bullet point, so maybe, like, really think about, we're in an age where media is very, very, like, pervasive, right? It's all over the place. We're getting notes, we're getting, like, messages on our phone, we have Facebook on our computer, we have Facebook on the phone, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, we have Fox News, we have CNN, we have MSNBC, we have all these media outlets are devoted to not only, like, keeping you informed, but also, kind of advertising to you different things. So it's important to monitor that. How much am I watching and accessing content to stay informed? How much is it oversaturating? So everyone is going to have a different way of, like, kind of monitoring that. But I think one question to ask yourself is like, is this media consumption adding to my stress? How much do I need to consume to stay informed and have an educated point of view? But also, how much is it going to be too much, right? So you want to monitor that, and then you want to set boundaries on your social media. Like, try not to read the comments that people have, because remember, sometimes those comments that are on these social media platforms are not necessarily people. Some of them are bots. Some of them are different political parties that are pretending like they're, the girl next door or whatever, but it's really just, like, maybe a Russian bot. We don't really know. So I would say, like, be mindful of reading the comments online, and maybe set boundaries, like, okay, I'm only going to devote 20 minutes to checking my Facebook in the morning and 20 minutes at night, or whatever you feel is comfortable for you. But I think constantly scrolling, is certainly been shown to be adding stress to people, right? Find ways to unplug, recharge, do something physical that's not involving a screen, because obviously, especially right now, we're at UNLV, where a lot of our work is remote, right? So a lot of us are on screen. You're on screen right now. We're doing this seminar, it's on the screen. We're getting a lot of screen time. So maybe, like, taking a break from those screens. Develop a healthy support system. Reach out to your friends, reach out to your romantic partners, to your family members, the ones that you feel you can go to for support, and also offer emotional support. So, the ones that offer the emotional support are usually the ones that also get the emotional support back in return. Show vulnerability to each other. Communication. So, like, arguing online is very common nowadays. A lot of people, are prone to argument, kind of like we demonstrated in that last role play. Sometimes these arguments can add stress stress, right? So like, ask yourself, is arguing about this one political point worth it? Is it worth my peace of mind? Is it worth disrupting my peace? Because again, like, that argument might set you off in a mood that's going to make it harder to study. Is it worth it? Ask yourself that. And then try to like celebrate what's good about humanity. It's a lot, we're getting a lot of darkness in the media, like, we're seeing kind of like the bad things that are out there. What's good about humanity? Think about that. Take some time every day to think about what's good. Prioritize your mental health. That, again, that's, to me, is the most important thing. Of course, we're clinicians here at the counseling center, so we have a bias. Of course, we feel that mental health is the most important thing, but again, like, your mental health, if you don't have that, you're not able to do the other things that you want to do in your life, study, finish your degree, right? This is why you're here. So protect your mental health. Ask yourself again, is it worth it getting in these political arguments, in sacrificing your mental health? And then, sorry, everyone just voted yesterday, vote, make your voice heard, feel, take up some advocacy where you feel you can be effective. I question the effectiveness of kind of arguing online with people from another point of view as yours. That may not be as effective, as joining a cause and like, directly taking up, a cause, helping out someone younger than yourself, mentoring a child. Like, these are all things you can do to kind of make a difference in your community.
Mhm. I would also add into it, we do have some self-care apps right now. I don't know, I'm sure you talk about it too with your clients, Chad. We
Yes.
do have, I use Calm, Headspace. There's also another one called, I think, Insight Timer. These are really good apps that you can download on your smartphone to help yourself practice mindfulness. Mindfulness really helps us slow down a little bit, makes us feel grounded, and also it creates some space for us to really breathe, right? And also another thing that I would also recommend is, these days it's really easy, like Chad said earlier, for us to get into these fights and arguments. But research suggests that practicing gratitude really helps us be more present in the moment, and also increases our well-being in the mental health area. So try to focus on some gratitude. So jot down 10 to 15 things you are grateful for each day. I can, for example, when I think of gratitude, I always think of, I'm grateful for my health, my family. Think of things that you feel grateful for. Another thing that, for some folks, this is really helpful, connecting with something larger than yourself, right? So some people, when we think about connecting with something larger than yourself, we think of like religious beliefs or spiritual beliefs, spiritual practices. For some people, it could be their religion. If for some people, it could be spirituality, maybe being in nature, playing with their children or animals, just something that just makes you feel like there's something larger than yourself. And then the other thing, like Chad said earlier, volunteer. There are plenty of organizations out there to just simply help you help you help your voice be heard, right? So take some time, volunteer. Maybe you can volunteer at like some polling places or food banks. Find one that aligns with your values, and and a good resource for this is volunteermatch.org. You can find good places where you can volunteer on this website. Any other things that you can think of, Chad?
No, it sounds like volunteermatch.org is a great place to go. I think that's
Mhm.
great. Or if you hear of anything like in your local community at UNLV, you think that people need help, it might be like a student organization on campus that needs assistance with something, if they need help and you think, hey, that's a good cause, like why not try and volunteer? It might help you feel part of a bigger thing, and it might help like lessen that powerlessness that I think a lot of us are feeling right now.
Mhm. Yeah. We are so sorry. We've been having a little bit of technical difficulties, so let's try this again. So these are some of the CAPS services that we are offering. If you are a new client looking for services, please call CAPS at 702-895-3627. And during your intake appointment, you and your counselor can determine which mental health services would be the best form of treatment for you at CAPS. So at CAPS currently, we are offering phone or teleconference individual counseling sessions. For teleconference, we are using a secure platform of Zoom, and you and your counselor can talk about how you can set that up. We are also offering a number of different virtual groups, including a COVID-19 support group. We're also having some good groups on healthy relationships. There's a CBT group that we're doing, a mindfulness meditation group. Then we are also offering virtual workshops like we're doing currently. This is also a virtual workshop. We also offer same day phone consultations Monday through Friday between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Another thing that we do is if we determine that students need longer term services, we also help them find off-campus referrals. We have a great care manager who helps students with this kind of service. And finally, we offer Tao self. We have a application that we use called Tao Self Help Service. Tao stands for Therapy Assistance Online, and it's a great resource that students can access for free, and is already paid by UNLV. Okay, so like I said earlier, I know we will end our session with a mindfulness meditation. And as you probably have heard in our workshop as well, meditation is also another proven technique that would help manage stress. So since this is a stressful time, I thought we could end our session with a small very basic mindfulness meditation. So in this meditation, what we are really doing is focusing on our breath. It's a very, very basic form of meditation. Okay, so when you are comfortable, when you're ready, just sit in a comfortable position. You can close your eyes and just listen to what I am saying. Okay. So if you have selected to attend this workshop today, there's a good chance you might be feeling stressed right now. And that is totally okay. There's just so much going on in the world at the moment, and it can feel really overwhelming. It could be down to COVID. It could be down to tense political climates, being apart from family, or perhaps you have just lost your job and you're feeling a general sense of unease about what the future holds. And it could be all of the above or more. So I'm really sorry you are feeling really stressed and overwhelmed. The good news is you are taking some time today to take care of your mind and body. I'm grateful that you are doing this meditation with me. To start with, I would like for you to get really comfortable at wherever you are sitting. Remember, this time is for you. So it is really important you feel comfortable and relaxed. And just to help you get settled in this moment, start by taking a deep breath, a big deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Now, let your body begin to relax, consciously releasing tension. Now begin to follow your breath. Take in a very slow, deep breath. Continue breathing deeply and feel the cool air coming through your nose and go all the way down to your belly. While you are doing this, feel your belly expand out as you breathe deeply. Notice how the breath feels as it softly flows in through your nose, into your throat, and further when it goes down. Try not to make any effort to change your breathing in any way, but simply notice how your body breathes. Just know that your body knows how much air it needs. When your attention wanders, as it will, just focus back again on your breathing. Thoughts may try to intrude your mindfulness breathing. Just simply notice them, label them as thoughts, and allow them to float through like clouds in a summer sky. Again, remember, each time your attention wanders, just notice, label them, and return your focus gently to your breath. As this practice comes to an end, slowly allow your attention to expand and notice your entire body, and then beyond your body to the room you are in. And when you are ready, open your eyes and come back fully alert and awake. Okay, so since we did this mindfulness meditation, I hope everyone is feeling a little bit more relaxed. And again, thank you for joining us for this workshop. And I hope our workshop was helpful. And thank you again for joining us. Bye.